Hello, and welcome to our lesson on project fundamentals. This segment will cover value, needs, and process. Just as organizations vary in how they organize projects and the resources assigned, organizations can choose to execute their projects in many ways. Understanding the organization and project's values and needs is necessary when planning how a project is to progress. A project and organization's values can vary dramatically in several categories. Value refers to what's most important to the organization, team, or project. Examples of values include prominence of the customer's input. Are we relying more on the customer or our team to decide what is produced? Risk aversion. How developed is the organization's ability to deal with uncertainty? Schedule predictability. How important is knowing precisely when things are to occur? Preferred experience level of staff and managers. Do they typically employ lower cost, entry level, or more expensive, experienced professionals? Perception and visibility to the customer. Is the customer's view of the project's progress extremely important? In addition to the values that establish the themes of how work is done, there are also needs that vary from project to project. Understanding these variations is essential when plotting the course forward. Examples of the needs include resources and time required for the project size and complexity, the level of documentation needed as the project progresses, and the level needed at delivery, a need to clarify requirements, specifications, and external variables as the project continues, flexibility in reacting to change as the project progresses, the need for prototypes and the ability to evolve designs before completing the final product, whether the project calls for a defined endpoint of an ongoing effort. Why everything we mentioned is essential for the project. Organizational values and a project's needs are heavily considered when choosing whether a potential project should be carried out. An extreme mismatch between the two may indicate the project isn't a good idea, is likely to fail, or should even be outsourced. A solid understanding of these values and needs is also essential when choosing the project leader and team members. Those assembling the team should consider whether potential resources, skills, experiences, and personalities are a strong match. Once the decision is made to move forward, values and needs affect how project phases and steps are carried out. This is known as the project's process model. Whether they are aware of it or not, most organizations have processes that they follow when completing the work. Process models generally fall into one of the three categories for project work: plan-focused, cyclical, or change-focused. In some cases, the project team is allowed to decide which is appropriate. In others, the organization has already made a formal decision and is dictated by the industry standards. Plan-focused process models place the highest value on planning and considering what will happen before progressing with the project. In general, plan-focused models require focus on one phase or step at a time, ensuring that plans have been laid out for the future before proceeding. At the most basic level, the model resembles a series of blocks. What happens in each block and the number of blocks can vary from project to project. There are several advantages inherent to this type of process. Because each phase is distinct, team members can have particular skills and, as a result, be secured as needed. It is also the most straightforward process model to understand, which allows less experienced team members to navigate it effectively. It can also be modified if needed to accommodate sub-projects with smaller teams. Though appropriate for many projects, some significant disadvantages can present in certain circumstances. Unless the customer or manager works daily with the team, it can be hard to know how far along the project has come, the project's visibility. Often, the end of phases, represented as blocks in the diagram, is the only time when anyone knows for sure. Additionally, this process model handles changes in the requirements of specifications poorly, often requiring a significant replanning and rework effort. It assumes, or hopes, that all these types of decisions are made early and won't change down over time. Sometimes a project team is committed to following a plan, but knows the project will build on itself or need to evolve before final delivery. Early project steps are often like plan focused processes, but at some point, these projects necessitate some repeating cycle. One way that this can manifest itself is an incremental approach. Once the initial high level analysis and planning are completed, the project cycles through several steps, delivering an ever expanding result each time. Incremental processes are commonly used for petrologically segmented projects, such as a multi building shopping plaza or a web based software product. In some cases, the available funds and resources limit the project. There isn't enough money or personnel to complete the whole project simultaneously. If a project doesn't require delivery more than once, but still needs to verify that things are on the right track, an iterative process may be more appropriate. Iterative processes verify each cycle before proceeding to the next, incorporating feedback into future cycles. The most readily understandable example of this is prototyping. Here, the team creates and then improves on something, verifying with stakeholders that they are moving in the right direction before proceeding. For example, an architect may show their rough design to the customer before moving forward with finer details. Because delivery of verification happens so often, customer and management visibility is usually good for cyclical projects. Inexperienced teams may have trouble with the discipline required to follow the same steps repeatedly, so strong leadership is often necessary to commit to this process. All cyclical processes share a rather significant weakness. Knowing when you are done can sometimes be challenging. There can be a perpetual temptation to complete one more increment or iteration. Both the team and the customer are enticed by this, often saying we could improve it. This is the end of this segment of our lesson. In the next segment, we shall discuss Change Focus Process Model. This course is presented to you by South Europe College. Thank you for listening, and see you on our next segment.